Today I'm going to show you how to make a Chrome extension that checks password strength across every website. We're going to open the Chrome extension now. It's called Password Strength Enhancer. First off, if you want to just type a regular password, right, it's going to tell you if it's weak and give you some suggestions. So, all right, now we have a very strong password, right? Let's say we're already on the web page though, and we're signing up, creating a new password. We can type something in here and you see it's still giving us some suggestions, telling us that it's weak and what we could do to make it very strong. But let's try another website just to prove it to you, right? It's still saying that the password is very weak and giving us some suggestions to make it strong. In order to create this, first off, we're doing this in JavaScript. So create a folder. I've already done that, and we're gonna need 5 different files. So let's just go ahead and create these files now. Manifest.json is gonna be one of them. We're gonna have popup.html, popup.js, content.js, and style.css. The first file we're going to work on is manifest.json. The manifest.json is basically telling Google Chrome what this extension is going to be doing. You can see here it says checks password strength and gives suggestions on any website. We're basically going to be telling it that, and the version that we're going to be using, all that stuff. See right here, we're actually setting the word or the name, password strength enhancer. We're setting the version. It's going to be 1.0. We need a description. So I'm going to say that it checks password strength and gives suggestions on any website. All right, let's move forward. Right here, we're just letting you know that we're going to be using this HTML file for the pop-up. And the pop-up title is going to be password strength checker. Now that we finished the manifest.json file, we're going to move to the content.js file. You can see that we injected it right here. This is basically where all the magic happens. That's how you're seeing that stuff. Those words pop up on the website, on the password fields and stuff like that. All right, so this content.js is just filled with different functions. Function, check, password, strength. That score equals 0. This score system that we made, we're making the score system be 0. And if the score is 5, the password is basically going to be very strong. So if it doesn't have anything, it's just going to be 0. It'll be weak. You get scores by if it's greater than 8 characters, if there's lowercase letters, uppercase letters, if you're using any numbers or symbols. Now we're just writing a switch statement to actually return whether it's weak, strong, or whatever condition the password is in. We're gonna have different cases. Case 5 will be very strong. Case 4, case 2. For here will be default, right? And then the default will return very weak. Can't forget those semicolons. And we should be good now. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna add some emojis because I think it looks better. You can always go to Emojipedia to get different emojis. Okay, now we're creating another function that's actually gonna suggest the improvements. So let's call this function suggest improvements.Edig password. Okay, all suggestions. Right here, we're just letting it know that if the password length is less than 8, then we're just gonna make it. We're giving that suggestion. Yo, it needs to be over 8 characters. Okay, so like now that we've done all the if statements, you can see if the password length is less than 8, then it says, hey, let's make it at least 8 characters. If it's missing a lowercase letter, then it says add a lowercase letter. If it's missing a capital, add an uppercase. If it's missing a number, it adds a number. And if it's missing a symbol, then add a special character, right? Okay, now we have another function. This function is actually going to attach it to any of the password fields that we find on a web page. So attach checker, const message. So this part right here is basically creating a new div for the password input, right? I'm just going to do some styling real quick. Some styling for the message. Font size, the margin type, color. You could obviously adjust this as you please. This part right here is actually listening for each input event for that field. So like when you're typing it, it can tell what type of, like, how many letters you have or how many characters. And then this part is basically so like when the user is typing, it's going to run the check password strength function. It's going to run the suggest improvements function, and then it'll display whatever suggestions that we may have for them. And this last line here basically loops this function on every single password input field that may be on the web page. All right, we're done with a lot of the crazy backend stuff. So at least for now, let's do some HTML for the actual pop-up window that's going to pop up. That's going to be our title, password strength checker. We want to actually link it to our style CSS that we made here, even though we don't have nothing there yet. But yeah, let's just do that anyway. All right, so we did the head. Pause. Now let's do the body. The heading is we're gonna use the H3 for that. We're gonna call it password strength checker again. Okay, now let's create our little input field. All right, that's it. We're done. You can see we imported the pop-up.js. That's where we're gonna move to now. So some quick more backend stuff, but it's okay. All right, so this pop-up.js is gonna have some functions too, and it's kind of honestly very similar to the other one that we did. So I'm just gonna copy and paste some of it. Okay. All right, so we already know about the score system and how these if statements are basically checking if it's including all of these different characters. So we're just gonna move forward from that. And we also need to make another switch statement for this. So we did that, but it's a little different here because we have a label and a class, but it's basically the same concept. Now we're creating another suggest improvements function. It's basically the same so as before, basically the same exact suggestions, right? Let's make a few constants right here. It's gonna be password input. These lines here are basically connecting the JavaScript to the HTML. All right, and then we're gonna need another event listener, so password. Every time the user types in the password box in the pop-up, it's gonna run the check password strength. Then it's gonna run the suggest improvements. Here it's just displaying the strength of whatever password the user is inputting, and it'll show those suggestions only if it's needed. We basically finished majority of the files. Now we just need to do the styling for the pop-up. So let's do body. Right, it's gonna be for the body section. I have like a nighttime mode on mine, so I'm gonna just roll with that. But obviously you can customize this to be however you want it to look. That's the cool thing about CSS, in my opinion. Background color. Okay, we done the body. Now this is for H3. This is for our title on the actual pop-up. Keeping it simple. Now for the input box. Okay, cool. Now let's do the strength for like the actual part that's going to show the strength, how strong it is or not. We actually want this to be color coded and stuff, so let's just do the strength real quick. Our suggestions. I forgot to put a pound in front of the strength, so make sure you don't forget that too, and make sure you add the pound in front of suggestions as well. Doing some basic styling. This is the part for the password strength colors when it's very weak and strong. When it's very weak, I want it to be red, and I kind of want it to gradually get like turn to green, right? When it's green, it'll be super green when it's strong. You can change the colors if you want, but very weak, it's super red, and it's weak, it's lighter red, medium yellow, right? And as it gets stronger, it gets greener. We're done now. All we need to do is just import our extension into Google Chrome. So you're gonna need to actually open your Chrome extensions, and you're gonna see a switch up here that's for developer mode. You need to turn that on and click load unpacked, and then you're just gonna choose the folder for whatever your app is. Yo, I made a mistake in the manifest version. I had this as a dash, but it needs to be an underscore, okay? So make sure you fix that. Now we're gonna import it and we're good. All right, so we've installed it. Now let's just test it out, okay? It's this one here with the double T's. So we're just gonna click that and just write random stuff. Okay, it seems like it's working. Very strong. Okay. All right, so I refreshed the web pages, and we're just gonna try it again on the AOL website. Let's pretend we're creating an account, and you see there's two there, right? There's the one that I originally had, and then there's the new one that we made. So let's just go here as well. Let's try it again, and you see there's two. There's the one that I made originally and the new one that we just made. Well, that's how you make a Chrome extension that can check password strength across any website using JavaScript. I hope y'all learned some today and enjoyed this video. Stay safe. Peace.